Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 director says devs self-censored to avoid outrage from oversensitive people. Hired consultants for every group. So Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 released a few months back. I played it. I also played the first one. I was a fan of the first one. And I played the second game and I was disappointed. I actually have a review of the game on my channel, just a brief review where I kind of give my thoughts after finishing the game. And the fans of the game were not keen to my criticism. They did not like my video. They hated every criticism I brought up. And it turns out I was vindicated, because the reason why these things that I criticized were in the game in the first place was actually just to appeal to oversensitive people. I'm talking Hans and Henry being gay all of a sudden and having a gay sex scene in the second game when they were straight the entire first game and 90% of the second game, and suddenly they're gay. And I'm talking about Musa Mali, who is a black character who was shoved into the game, obviously to meet diversity quotas, and obviously to do what he says here, to avoid offending oversensitive people, to show that, hey guys, we have representation in medieval Bohemia. Look at this black guy. Look at him tell us about how, oh, Mali is actually safer than Bohemia, arguably the most advanced civilization at that point. But anyways, let's dive into the article. Straight from the horse's mouth, Kingdom Come Deliverance series director Daniel Vavra has confirmed that in seeking to avoid offending oversensitive audiences, the game's dev team at Warhorse Studios sought the advice of various sensitivity consultants to help them self-censor their work. Yep. This was obvious to anyone who had played the first game and then played the second game after, like me. But apparently, to the masses from Reddit who only played the second game and never played the first game, and who love gay propaganda in their video games, they disagreed with me. But it turns out I was completely right. This shit was forced in just because they were scared. Just because Vávra was afraid. Vávra, who not only helped found Warhorse Studios, but also serves as its current creative director, provided this insight into the recently released second entry's development process during a recent appearance on the Insider podcast, as hosted in his native Czechoslovakia by local media reporters Thomas Jirsa and Michael Pur. Invited on to speak about his experience developing the Kingdom Come sequel, the director was at one point asked how he felt about the fact that some of the same critics who previously wrote both him and the first game off as controversial due to his pro-Gamergate stance were now singing his praises. Well, it's funny how that happens. Funny how you suddenly do a 180 on all your principles, right? And you go from being a based chud to a woke person. Funny how that works. Funny how they do a 180 like that. Honestly, I don't really care, Vávra replied in turn, per machine translation, blah, blah, blah. What you can buy bread with is money you earn, so I go by my conscience. I don't need anyone's approval to know what I can or can't think. Then why'd you change it? Obviously, that's bullshit, because you literally said you changed it to appeal to oversensitive people. Of course it's annoying, because it does interfere with work. For example, I wanted politically liberal Czech actor Ondrej Fecci for a role as King Sigismund in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and I was really worried he'd turn us down because someone would tell him what I'm supposedly like. He then recalled, but he took the role. He knew who I was when he showed up. I thought, okay, is there going to be a fight? Because he's known for being intense, but we actually got along really well. We even talked politics, not avoiding it. And though we didn't agree on everything, it was an intelligent debate. So Daniel Vavra was afraid that this liberal actor would say no because Daniel Vavra is more right-leaning. If that's what you're afraid of, then just don't hire the dude. Because adults don't think like that. Adults don't refuse to work with you because you have a different political affiliation. That's not how the world works. That's not how adults think. Maybe that's how, like, leftists who are, you know, in college or, like, minors think. But that's not how actual adults think. Because then society wouldn't actually function. You understand? If leftists and conservatives refuse to work together. I'm always afraid of that. This stuff will hurt potential collaborations, Vávra admitted. It certainly makes personal relationships harder. Some people just can't handle it. I'm not like that, in fact. I think conservatives are more thick-skinned about this stuff than liberals. Maybe because they had to keep quiet for 20 years and are used to separating politics from work. Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's because Trump supporters had to basically hide their beliefs for fear of being canceled or fired from their jobs for years, or basically having all their friends turn their backs on them. At least all their leftist friends. Because that's kind of how leftists behaved for a long time. It was very, you're with us or you're against us. But conservatives, I mean, myself included, I don't really think like that. I have plenty of friends who are liberals. Hell, I went to University of Wisconsin-Madison. That is an extremely liberal school. All the friends that I still have to this day that I made from college, guess what? They're all liberals. I'm not. And it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. So there's a grain of truth to that. But then again, my liberal friends didn't really care either that I was conservative. So maybe he's just hanging out with oversensitive people. On that note, Jerusalem Per next asked Vávra if during the development of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, there was ever a moment where you thought, damn, now I've stepped over a line and it could actually hurt the business or complicate what I'm trying to do. In turn, he admitted, obviously, Sword of Damocles was hanging in the air for quite a while. I was really afraid that they'd dig those up again. The stuff they pulled the first time, and that's why back then, when the first game came out, they pulled out the controversies, right? That it wasn't diverse enough and that there weren't enough black characters in it. Yep, here we go. Here we go. I mean, we all knew why he did it. We all knew why suddenly there were strong, empowered female characters in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. We all knew why suddenly there was this random, educated black scholar in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. We all wondered why suddenly Henry and Hans, the main characters who were straight for all of Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 and straight for 90% of Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, were suddenly gay and had gay sex at the end of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. We know now why they did that. Because he was afraid. He was basically afraid of being canceled. At least that's what he says. But he's the creative director. They weren't going to be able to fire him at the end of the day anyway. And since then, you know, I basically re-engineered myself on the Czech internet. On Facebook, I told myself, well, today we have an automatic translator, right? So checking out my Facebook in English is no big deal anymore. So it was only a matter of time before someone did that and started saying, whoa, this guy's a Trump supporter. He's against this and that. And he's writing these kinds of texts. And honestly, I really thought that was a serious risk. I was really ready for the possibility that I might get fired because the company doesn't belong to me anymore. And I said to myself, I was prepared to accept that because I'm not going to let this drag me down. Okay, so he's just a coward. I get it. But what happened in the meantime is that things flipped so much that the other side started attacking us, saying I'm a leftist or whatever else. Well, that's because you did a 180 on your fan base. That's because you made a game that appealed to like the chud gamer, I guess, and appealed to conservatives and Christians because it was a rare game that didn't have all this kind of forced DEI bullshit and propaganda shoved into it. It's rare to see that. Almost all games these days have, you know, they'll have these X number of black characters, X number of Hispanics, X number of whites, half and half female, you know, half male, half female. Like, this is pretty standard in a lot of games. Like, people have just kind of accepted it, but it is DEI, and it has been forced into these games. So when you get a game like Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 that doesn't have that, you know, people latch onto that. And you get really passionate fans who really, really want to support you because of that, because it's such a rarity. So that's why they did a 180. It's not a left and right thing. It's because you just completely betrayed the original fans. It's like what happened with Star Wars. It's the same exact thing. You turn your back on the original fans by trying to appeal to everyone, and then you end up appealing to no one. Or in this case, you end up appealing to leftists who really like gay sex in their video games. So basically, for the very things we were worried we get slammed for by the left, we got hit just as hard, but from the right. Because we added some things in response to earlier criticism, but we did it in a historically accurate way. That's fucking bullshit. Fucking Musa of Mali being a scholar, being a doctor, telling us about how Mali is safer and just a more culturally advanced and better country, better civilization than Bohemia. That's not historically accurate. That's not fucking historically accurate. You know it's not historically accurate, so you're just lying at this point. But look, the game is apolitical. It really doesn't try to send a message in that kind of ideological direction. True, but it's still the setting. The setting is a Christian setting where everyone's fucking white. That is the setting. That's the historically accurate part. You understand? Still, I did not want to respond to a bit of bad criticism, or past criticism. So we added some elements that they claimed were totally normal, and we put them in, just as part of the world, but in a way they might realistically have appeared, and I suspected that the people demanding that stuff wouldn't actually like it. Well, it turns out the people demanding gay representation and black representation and powerful female characters in their games, they demanded that stuff and they loved it. They loved that shit. But the fans of the first game, who were really looking forward to the second game, like me, we did not love that shit. In fact, we fucking despise that shit. We saw it immediately. Because we're not tourists. Because we played the first game. Because we're actual fans. And you lost us, Daniel Vavra. You understand that? And the result, the other side hated it even more. So now, to a certain group of people, we're suddenly considered the bad guys. Yeah, because you are. Because you betrayed your fans. It's not that complicated. And I don't want anything to do with either side. Uh-oh. Oh, no. He said it. I actually realized, in the midst of all this, guys, he realized I'm a centrist. I actually realized I'm a centrist. He actually said that. Wow. I'm just going to go on a quick tangent here. I'm sorry if you're a centrist. No offense to you. But I fucking hate centrists. Centrists are cowards who are afraid to push the needle in one direction or the other. The needle always needs to be corrected. In the case of the 2024 election, we had unfucking mitigated mass illegal immigration that was fucking destroying our country. And then people finally said, okay, you know what? Even if I'm a leftist or a centrist, I need to vote right because we need to fix this shit. So I'm going to vote for Trump because he actually wants to stop the shit. And he's the only anti-war candidate. He's the only one who doesn't want to propagate the wars further, right? So how do you vote? How do you correct that? Well, you have to vote right. If you're a centrist and you just don't, then you're a fucking coward. So that's why I hate centrists. They're just afraid to pick a side. I know Daniel Vavra's not American, so this doesn't apply to him, but I'm just saying. I just had to get that off my chest. So it's created this totally bizarre situation where the group that hated us last time now supported us, just because they hate the other group even more. That's not why. It's because you betrayed your original fans. So you're just lying. You're saying, oh, it's actually because they just hate leftists and now leftists are enjoying the game. No, it's because you completely did a 180 on all the principles that you held when you created the first game. And you admitted yourself you were afraid. So you forced this shit in to try to appeal to the weirdos on Twitter who love gay sex and love trans people and love black people in their video games, which just wasn't the fan base of the first Kingdom Come Deliverance game. It's that simple. And most people are just tired of this whole culture war thing, honestly. I think it might have even helped us a bit because this hate from the anti-woke crowd kind of softened the hate from the other side. But either way, it's just dumb, completely dumb. I mean, you brought all this on yourself again. You didn't have to insert the black people. You didn't have to insert the gay shit, but you did. So it's entirely your fault. So I have no sympathy for Daniel Vavra. And actually, that wasn't the intention at all. For me, it's just a story from the Middle Ages, as it could have happened. I just wanted to portray the Middle Ages as I studied it, and it interested me. So I'm just laughing at the obvious, non-historically accurate shit that was shoved into the second game. As it interested me, how it looked when I studied it. That's how I wanted to portray it. I definitely don't want to give any statements about today's politics or what people think today and how they see things. It just isn't that. And if someone sees it that way, it says more about them than about me, I'd say. I mean, sure, you can say that, but again, you did this. You made the game the based Christian game for chuds. You were the one in the Reddit threads in the tweeting at people saying that there were no black people in medieval Bohemia, that you were saying that, oh, Henry and Hans are straight. Sorry, play another game if you want them to be gay. You said these things, Daniel Vavra. You said these things. So people were really on your side. People who were fans of the first game were defending you, and then you betrayed them. That's what it's about. So no, don't say this bullshit. No, that's not what it's about. It's about you betraying your fucking fans and being a coward. Following an audience clarification from his host that his latest round of backlash was an ultra-conservative one coming from the fundamental Christian right, Vávra asserted. I've written a few times in the past that I was actually a bit afraid that when the pendulum swings from the extreme left to the extreme right, it's not going to be pretty. And now I didn't expect that I would be one of the first victims of this, and it's really not pretty. Those people are just as extreme, if I may put it politely. Well, at least they're not as extreme enough to, should I even say this? I'm going to say it. Fuck it. At least conservatives aren't so extreme that they try to convince kids that it's okay to cut their dick and balls off and to call themselves a little girl when they're clearly a boy, or to convince little girls that they should, in fact, call themselves a boy and that they should do gender affirming therapy and bullshit like this. That's extreme. That is fucking extreme. You are literally destroying children's lives. That's extreme, okay? So no, I'm not going to take that. That is where I draw the fucking line. That's actually extreme. You understand? We're different. We are different, you and I. And someone correctly pointed out to me, these are not different people. They're the same people, just swinging the pendulum to the other side. Yes, this is the centrist talking point. They say, oh, it's just extreme people on the left and extreme people on the right fighting. Me, I'm an enlightened centrist just sitting in the middle above it all. Like, I've heard this before. And whenever I hear someone trying to play this role, you can immediately basically write off every opinion that they have. Because, again, they're a centrist, they're a coward. They're afraid to have an opinion because they're afraid of backlash from other people on the internet. They are just cowards who have no spine and no principles. It's just completely different now. And now it's funny that they started yelling at me yesterday again that we don't have accessible churches. So I'm a Jew and a Satanist. And that's why I'm trampling on Christians, saying it's a Christian game. I mean, yeah, obviously that's extreme, but it is kind of weird. Why are the churches inaccessible in the second game? There's no reason. They're all there. You just have an interior. But no, they're all locked. You could access the churches in the first game. You could even walk into them and pray. But you can't in the second game. It's just weird. Like, well, why isn't that in the game? It's not like that's a bunch of dev work. It's just a building. The building's there. It's just not, you can't enter it. The door's locked. So it is very strange. I made this game. I'm not a Christian, so it's not a Christian game. I mean, that's not really how it works, right? You can not be a Christian and you can make Christian media. So I mean, this argument just is fundamentally flawed, but all right, let's see where he goes with this. There's Christianity in it because that's how it was back then. I'm depicting it as it was. Yes, back then in medieval Bohemia, everyone was Christian. It was a Christian society, right? That's the setting. The setting is a Christian setting. So you could say it's a Christian game. It's okay. You can say that even though you're a Jew, Daniel Vavra. Even though you're an enlightened centrist, you're allowed to say that it's a Christian game. It's okay. We'll forgive you. It's just a game from the Middle Ages, and back then there was Christianity. And when I asked one critic when they last opened a Bible, nothing. Silence. Probably a Christian, like my pet fish is Christian. Oh my gosh, he's so petty. He's so angry over this. As is sadly not unusual in this age of monetization, though Vávra still had more to say, Jersa and Pur locked the conclusion of their conversation behind the paywall, blah, blah, blah. Therein, asked by his local hosts if any of the game's various producers ever those to interfere with the game's development in any way. Okay, so this is translated, that's why it's kind of broken English. Especially given this age of culture wars. Vávra clarified, no, we were rather careful. They were interested in what we were doing and were informed, but they liked it and didn't tell us what to add or remove, he called. Perhaps it was also like that because we self-censored. Of course you self-censor. There are things you think really hard about, how to portray them, because in this age of oversensitive people. So he's saying he presented Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 after he already inserted all the DEI shit with Musa, with what's her name, Catherine, with Cons and Henry turning gay at the end. So he had those in and then presented to them, and he's basically saying he's thankful that they, didn't have anything to say and were okay with it. But again, that was after he self-censored all of his shit and did all this DEI bullshit to try to basically kowtow the line between the right and the left. Asked if he could provide any examples of this self-censorship, the director stated, we verified everything with a ton of different consultants to make sure that no one will complain what we portray anyone differently than it should be. For every religion, for every minority, for every group of people, we had consultants we sent our script to. And we asked them whether we have something wrong in the script. Vávra noted, and the thing they said to us were cool. In the end, the game is better. Thanks to that, and they told us what to remove. Oh no. So yeah, basically everything that I thought is confirmed. I'm completely vindicated. I was completely right. In my review for the second game that I released, that got like 80% fucking downvotes. I'm completely right. Everything I said was correct. Everyone else was wrong. He did this because he was afraid that leftists would be angry, that it was full of white people, that there wasn't enough gay sex, that there wasn't enough diversity. So he hired consultants, diversity consultants, to change that, to amend that. Because he's an enlightened centrist who will appeal to both sides. And he apparently can't realize that the reason why people on the right who liked the game are angry is because you betrayed all the fans. You betrayed the fans of the first game. That's what it is. But he's kind of conflating that with this whole political drama, with this whole political dialogue, I should say. So yeah, Daniel Vavra, I mean, he's a coward. He's a centrist, so that should say enough. He betrayed the fans of the first game, the second game. Everything that I thought was true turns out to be true. That the reason why we got Musa, the reason why we got Catherine, the reason why we got Gay Henry and Hans was because he was afraid of the crazy leftists on Twitter basically canceling him. And in doing so, you know, he betrayed the fans and he betrayed the people that really made his career a success and the people that built him up, the people who bought the first game. He betrayed them. And here we are. So I hope you're happy, Daniel Vavra. Your game was trash. It was full of woke politics. Henry and Hans, they can be gay. I don't care anymore. I'm done with this game. Like, you ruined it. Musa, Mali. Actually, Mali is way more civilized and actually safer, and they won't waylay women on their travels in Mali, unlike Bohemia. Apparently, that's historically accurate. Apparently, that's historically accurate to Daniel Vavra and the consultants that they hired. Maybe they hired Sweet Baby Inc. Who fucking knows? But yeah, this is very vindicating to me. I smell a load of bullplop. Warhouse could have just not bowed down to either side and stuck with what made the original so popular and stayed apolitical. Yeah, they could have. Instead, they try to appeal to everyone and learn the hard way that ensures you appeal to no one. I mean, yeah, this is a tale as old as time. Look what's happening with Star Wars, right? You take a boy brand, turn it into a girl brand, and suddenly you have a brand that was a boy brand that appealed to everyone, that now it's a girl brand that appeals to no one. The same thing happened with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, right? You have a base Christian game that's historically accurate, and historical accuracy, sorry, but it means all white people in medieval Bohemia, and you completely do a 180 on that, and everyone hates you for it. And honestly, Daniel Vavra deserves it, so I have no sympathy for him. So yeah, this was a good article. This was very vindicating for me because I have a lot of history with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, because it's kind of when I started uploading videos on this channel. So yeah, if you like the video, like it. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to my channel. I'm a new channel, so subscriptions do go a really long way. And thanks for watching. Peace.